Hey, what's up, everyone? My name's Lionel. I'm your host for LT Productions, and you are watching I Watch You Watch. We are covering Diarra from Detroit. This is episode 3 of season 1, entitled The One That Got Away. I appreciate everyone for coming to my channel. Please like this video and also subscribe to my channel. And you can leave your comments below. You want to stay tuned to this channel because I'm up and coming and thriving and have a lot more content that possibly you are interested in. Alright, so we kind of begin where we left off, but not really. Diarra, she's been having a lot of trauma from what she did experience. She just had this man get unalived in front of her. And she's talking within herself because she knows that she has to still go back to her job. She knows she's doing all this stuff extracurricular and she can't really tell anyone what's really going on with her. So also she feels like as a black woman you just cannot cave under any type of traumatic stress. So she gets back home and she finally has the courage to open the phone, the burner phone, and she ends up finding pictures of Chris. And she's like, I knew I was onto something, and I do believe that this is Deontay. She sees one number saved and she ends up calling it, and it's for a pizza place. She hangs up when the person does answer and announcing that it's a pizza place. While she's on the phone, she ends up just hanging up because also the doorbell rings or the door knocks. It's Danger. Danger comes in and he wants to talk in regards to her ruining the fish tank. You're going to have to be responsible for what happened to the fish. We don't know if the fish died or not, but at least it put them in a bad situation. So, Danger ends up cooking. His mom ended up teaching him 2 things or 3 things, but one of them was to make those mini pancakes. I think he called them the dollar bill pancakes. I think that's what they're called. But anyways, he made some for her and offering an outlet for Diarra to speak her mind. That's what's going on with her. And basically she says, you know, she got someone was unalive right in front of her, and it's a very traumatic situation. He ends up talking about a traumatic situation he had while he was in while he was a Boy Scout, I think it was. He received this merit badge for surviving the ish. And she's basically saying, I don't even know merit badge, so what is your point? You know, he was basically saying, look, you're surviving through all of whatever this traumatic experience has done to you. She was saying, he was teaching her how to shut out the noise of what's really going on with this trauma thing and to focus on something that leads you to a safe place. So he has her practice it in front of her, and she goes to a safe place where she sees SWAT. Then she sees this car. We see some people moving. We don't know what's going on. I'm thinking sex at first, but we'll find out something different later on. And she's also thinking about Chris, about the time that she was with him. That's why I believe that she's at a crossroad. And we're going to see more stuff. There's something foreshadowing between SWAT and Chris. And Diarra. Then all of a sudden she hears a gunshot goes off and she remembers that the Russian guy was unalived. So she's like, look, thank you for your input or whatever, but I'm not really seeing any type of safe place. She wouldn't cop to actually seeing it or having it. The phone rings. And Diarra excuses Danger, saying that she's got to take this phone call. She's answering it, and she finds out that it's Vonda Brooks, Deontay's mother. And she was so shocked because that phone actually called out to Vonda at some point. And then I think because of their back and forth and not really knowing each other, somebody hung up from each other. She ends up calling Diarra, calling Reggie, and reminding her about the Aja's brunch that she's supposed to have. And he's asking, you know, how are you okay? She's like, yeah, I'm making it through, blah, 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 blah. Diarra really doesn't want to go, but, you know, it's an obligated type of function to be there for her friend. This is the next day. Diarra is somewhere, and Monty sees her and basically says, hey, I might believe you regarding this Deontay Brooks situation. And it was such a relief for Diarra that somebody actually believed in her that she was like, okay. She was relieved for it. Monty says, you know, let me help you, and we split the reward. Monty has her agenda because, did I write it down? I guess I didn't. What's going on between Roman is that he owes some mafia guys. They were supposed to get this loan from the bank and it didn't happen, and they got the loan from these loan sharks, and now it's time to pay up. So they're doing bad financially, but she needs the money. She doesn't tell her Diarra then about the whole situation, but she tells her later on in the episode. And since I spoiled that, because I didn't remember in the last episode to tell you about that, Diarra ends up saying, you know what, I do need backup, but what I need you to be, I'm going to be Diana, you are going to be Supreme, you're going to be Florence or Mary. You follow what I say. And basically Monty says, yeah. Diarra doesn't want to tell her everything. It's kind of going to be on a need-to-know basis. And Monty's got to trust it. All right, so we go to Aja's brunch. Reggie's already there. Monty comes with her. While they're on their way in, she says, you know, Vonda is the #1 suspect in this whole situation with Deontay. And Monty says, everybody knows that. But they said, well, we got to crack something, and I need you to be there. So while they're there, they're having the brunch. Aja does greet Diarra and basically says, you know, she's celebrating something in regards to getting an award, but also she's running for something. She celebrates everything that she accomplishes. So she's going to have plans to get a massage and all this stuff. And Diarra says, you know, since I'm getting a divorce, I have to cut back on a lot of my financials. And she does commit to possibly going out to dinner with Aja, and Aja does accept that. She says, hopefully you got my text, because Swa is on his way. And Diarra says, oh. So after her and Aja break, she goes to get Monty and says, hey, we gotta go. Where we're gonna go is that we gotta find Vonda's phone, because I believe if information between the guy and the Russian guy and Vonda, and it's very imperative. And see what evidence is on there. While she's on the outside of where they were having brunch, Swat shows up. He drives up in this, is it blue teal? Cadillac. It's an old type model, looking very good, spick and span. And this is their, while in the marriage, their prized possession, and they called it the baby. Why did they call it the baby? I don't know. But it's something very sentimental to Diarra. So as Francois is getting out, he does come over to the other side and lets this new girl come out. And of course, Diarra is being very disrespectful and calling her a hoe and all this good stuff. And Swab was like, look, you're talking to this lawyer. And she said, oh, the sophisticated, smart hoe. Like, come on, Diarra. So the lady ended up saying, look, I just want to let you know that I was not cheating with Francois. The time he waited until, at least to get with me, until you two were done. So now we find out what Swa means. Francois, French. And that's probably why we were hearing in the last episode about this French man, and they were kind of comparing it to him, and I didn't understand it in the last episode, but now I got clarity. So then she starts talking about the car, you know, why you got some other chick in there, blah, 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 blah. They again start talking about cheating, and he said he didn't start dating until he knew that she was gone. We moved on, and I moved on. And all that good stuff. So anyways, Francois said, I'm going on the inside, you do whatever, blah, 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 blah. Monty and Diarra, they get on the bus. They find the professor, and they wanted to find out more about Vonda. The professor ends up saying that he's got some insight about Deontay and what happened to him. He says it involves the Greek mob, Illuminati, and the CIA. And he says that Deontay was sold to a secret super ninja soldier program. It was basically to pay off a debt that Vonda accrued for losing a drug shipment. They tell her that Vonda right now is located in Mexican Town. Yes, that's a section within Detroit area. She has this church that she's at that's basically a front for her drug operation. I said, y'all using the house of God. Come on now. Wow. And she also owns a music label for white rappers. Diarra does not believe a word that she says. And Monty says, you know, there's got to be a grain of truth somewhere within all of that if you don't believe everything. So they go to the church, and they end up running into Vonda Brooks. And guess who's playing Vonda Brooks? The illustrious Felicia Rashad. Or Felicia Rashad. Let's just say she's no Claire Huxtable. So she's got this gun that she pulls out, just basically like, what are you doing here? Blah, 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 blah. And she's just, and I think both of them just said they want to talk a little bit about Deontay. And she tells them to get into the van. It's this old type of van, basically, that you would push a bunch of people that you're kidnapping into, and it's very junky and all this good stuff. Vonda is a rough driver. She doesn't go over potholes, but she swings left and right and turn. It's so weird and crazy. Vonda ends up picking this package up from some guy, and then she goes to another place, I guess, to drop it off. Then she had to go pick up this TV. While Vonda was out of the car, or the van, they're looking for the cell phone that connects the Russian and her. They end up finding it, but Vonda opens the door, and she makes them hit over the cell phone. So that's when she says, "Oh, you must be some podcasters." And Diarra says, "Yeah, we're podcasters for true crime." She said, "Well, you know, for many years, I've said that I'm not doing any more interviews. But if you hang with me, I will tell you everything that you need to know." So they agreed to it and basically followed Vonda where she needed to go within the van. So, we flip the screen, the scene, and we go to Aja and Reggie. And basically they're like, "What is up with Diarra?" And Reggie's like, "It looks like she's on this fantasy adventure, solve crimes and all this. She's on the escapade right now, and we just got to give her that grace." Then they get to talking about being celibate because Reggie doesn't believe in that really, and Aja is like, "Well, when are you going to settle down instead of being so hoish?" I'm saying that. That's not what she said. He said if he found the right man, and then he's describing this man over in the corner to his right, and thinking that this guy is a DL trait. Reggie tries to flirt with the guy, but basically he thinks that Reggie's a fan, and I think the athlete is a fan of his too. So then the guy takes his attention to Aja. Aja has her eye on this guy named Walt Harvey. Walt Harvey is very prominent within the city, and he owns almost everything except a few things, but she wants him to back him for her campaign that she has going on. And the athlete says, "Hey, well, I can introduce you to him." And they do that, and we're going to come right back from that to explain that. So we go back to the whole Vonda, Diarra, and Monty scene. Vonda has gotten out of the car yet again, and they're looking for something within the van to get some evidence, and they find this old video cassette of the 5 Heartbeats. To know me is to know that the 5 Heartbeats is one of my top favorite 5 movies. I got nothing but love for you, baby. Got nothing but love for you, baby. I think they were centered in Detroit too, weren't they? I think so. But anyways, I'm so glad we are hearing everything Detroit based like stuff. It's so cool. So I think Diarra's ring was still on or whatever, and Monty's like, "You didn't pawn off your ring?" Basically, she did pawn off her ring. She's like, "Well, you know, me and Roman plan on being forever, so we don't really need the ring." And Diarra's like, "Don't tell me about your perfect marriage." Then they get into this kind of going back and forth. It always seems easy, Monty is saying this to Diarra, for you to move on from people, and it seems like that has not changed since. And Diarra's like, "Well, what do you mean by that?" So it looks like Diarra is able to just drop people at a dime. Monty feels that way, and Diarra's like, "Well, no, you're the one that told me that you thought I was all that, thinking that I was all that, and all this good stuff, and you left me, blah, blah, blah." While they're going at it, Vonda comes back, opens the door, and they're like, "Y'all sitting up here doing all this stuff, I ain't got time for all that." But before Vonda came back, she was talking about, "It looks like you're in your feelings about this guy in this car." And she said that car was really precious and sentimental. I bought the car, and SWAT ended up investing over $50K into detailing it and adding all the stuff that's in there now. And yeah, Monty was like, "Why didn't you come detail?" Like, we weren't even friends at the time. But you see me on Facebook, we couldn't got that service. Okay, Monty, whatever. So Vonda gets out, and she's setting up this cart with this teddy bear and something else with that TV. And Diarra's like, "Well, what is that?" And Monty ended up saying it was a crackhead trap. Basically, it's setting up this crackhead to take whatever's in there that he probably thinks is drugs. We find out that Vonda is following him, and we see that it's at one of the trap houses, or crack houses, if you want to call it that. While they were waiting on the crackhead to come, she ended up telling this story about messing with all the original members of the Temptations, and saying what Eddie did, what Paul did, what Melvin did to her. It was quite funny. Again, this is not Claire Huxtable in the least bit. So they finally start talking. Vonda finally says what's going on. She's helping out this mother that wanted Vonda to go find this girl that's in this crack house. And she's going to rescue her. Monty is not so sure, so she said, well, you're going to have to do something out here. They're going to get some firecrackers. Well, they did get some firecrackers. Set it outside and light it up to distract the crackheads to come out of the house to look at this. So Vonda and Diarra are going to sneak in there and get this girl. Most of the people came out, but there were some people still in there. She had some tacos to give to this first man that came up to them asking, what are you doing? What are you doing here? Blah, blah, blah. She got the tacos, and that was a distraction enough. So they're still looking for the girl. They finally find her, and it looks like she's strung out on drugs somewhere, or something's happening. A black man comes in, and he's got his blade out and saying, what are you doing? And Vonda said, well, I'm taking this girl. And he says, she's mine. You can't have her, blah, 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 blah. So Vonda was like, look, telling Diarra, she had his back, you need to take care of him. Diarra was doing all of this extra method acting, crazy stuff, and wasn't really doing anything. So Vonda got up and got this glass bottle and hit him over the head. And they got the girl out of there safely. Thank God. I said, wow, what a show. So we go back to Asia and Walt. Asia ends up introducing herself and saying that she wants her to come to the spa. She has this salon right now, but she's going to be opening her spa. Walt was asking her vision and all that. She gives it to him, and he ends up giving her some words of wisdom and telling her to give her information to her assistant. So obviously she's going to get some support that she needs. The athlete basically wants to take out Asia for dinner, but of course she's on this I'm celibate stuff, and he's like, he ain't studying that. What about dinner? And he says that there's a table for you right here, and they say yes. So I don't know if she's still gonna be celibate, but at least for now they're having dinner. After the whole situation with rescuing the daughter, Vonda returns the daughter to the mother outside the restaurant. Monty and Diarra are inside the restaurant, and she says, I don't know if Vonda is the hero or the villain, but because of, if she's the villain, then maybe just guilt of what she did to her own child, or just really the hero. Monty opens up like, look, her marriage is not perfect. And then she starts talking about, they owe this money and da-da-da-da-da-da. So Diarra opens up about how the marriage seemed to be fine, and then one day it wasn't. I wish Diarra hadn't walked out. And I think they should have went to counseling. And she's doing all these extra flip-flops trying to get him back, and you haven't really put in your effort to fight. And you would think that Swaz should do something, but why? He didn't try to walk out on his marriage. I mean, if he wants to save it, he wants to save it, but I think that he doesn't want to keep hanging on, and honestly, I don't blame him at this point, because there's been no real effort true effort from Diarra. Vonda comes in, and she tells her story. She talks about the day that Deontay did disappear. They were at the mall. Her focus was on getting the new Mary J. Blige album. And how Deontay is that he's very exhausting. He's got a lot of energy. He's a busybody, like I said in the last episode. And she said the only time that day that she took her eyes off of him was, now you remember what I was asking about, what happened on October 3rd, 1995? She went to watch the verdict being run for O.J. Simpson. During that time, most black people were cheering on O.J. Simpson. I think over the years we were like, I don't think we should have been cheering him on all that time, if you know what I mean. O.J. Simpson did just pass away last week. My condolences to him. I don't know what you all have done or done your research, but O.J. Simpson is quite the person. Did y'all hear that he actually gave his family and relatives NDAs? I said, Lord. So he must have been taking care of them, and in exchange, it was for their silence. I said, oh my God. You just made yourself look more guiltier and guiltier. But anyways, enough of that. So she tells her story, and Diarra's like, well, she's probably innocent, and she doesn't feel like Vonda really did anything. Vonda leaves, all that good stuff. She was about to tell Vonda that, hey, there's a chance that your child is actually alive. Oh, when she noticed that Deontay was gone, she saw some type of trail of someone taking her, taking him, and he was in some type of green car. Anyway, she saw the basketball that Deontay did have, and everyone blamed her, even her husband, because Diarra was like, well, where is he and what's up with him? He was at the factory and had at least 30 other employees vouching for him. He blamed her and basically drank himself to being unalived because of losing the child. And that is the reason why that there isn't any, that's why they don't think that there's any guilt on her, unless she's making up something. They're kind of leaving it out there, the writers are, as possibly maybe Vonda has something, but it's leaning more to that Vonda had nothing to do with it. But Diarra was about to say, you know, hey, there may be something about this whole situation that Deontay could be alive. But then she just said, no, I'm sorry for your loss, and da-da-da-da-da-da-da. They go back to Chris's apartment, and basically they start searching. Because one thing Vonda said, that the type of child that Deontay was, is that he was always hiding stuff somewhere. So she's just thinking that some of the things are trying to get clues. And she remembers Chris doesn't really cook. He always is ordering out. And she gets the unction to look in the oven. We see this box that she finds in there, and the first thing that's on top in that box is I think a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle backpack, and it has Deontay written on there. So then at this point, we actually know that this dude was Deontay. So Diarra was not being crazy about the whole situation. I said, wow, go ahead, Diarra. So the girls celebrate. They go back outside and go to a restaurant, and SWAT is there. Diarra wants Monty to distract the guy that hands the keys, a valet. They end up, while the valet was distracted, Diarra ends up getting the keys to the car, leaving SWAT stranded there. Look, that's Diarra's car. Maybe she should have fought for it. I don't know what's going to happen later on in the next episode, but we shall see. But again, I'm enjoying this show, and hopefully you are too. It's a dang old good show. Thank you to the creators and the writers and directors and the actors, because y'all are entertaining me. But tell me your thoughts below. Please like this video, subscribe to my channel. Stay tuned every Tuesday and Thursday. I'm bringing you a new show each week, every Tuesday and Thursday, that I think that you should be watching. Again, like this video, subscribe to my channel, and until the next one, peace.